For 2 long years, I'd been chasing after Lily, and she'd been putting me through the ringer with her tests. Just when we were on the verge of making our relationship official, she suddenly posted about her new relationship with someone else on Instagram. Blazing with anger, I decided to confront her face and get to the bottom of this betrayal. But then, in the blink of an eye, a stream of comments materialized before me. They're finally here. This is the heroine's ultimate test. Once the male lead passes, it'll be all smooth sailing with sweet and steamy couple moments. She'd promised to go official with him on his birthday, but she announced the relationship a month early, all to see if he'd stick by her no matter what. She can't help it. Even though the heroine seems poised and elegant on the surface, she's actually sensitive and vulnerable inside. Us sensitive types really need someone who'll never abandon us. Come on, male lead, you've got to pass this test. I stared at the intimate pictures of her and that guy on Instagram, completely stunned. The smile on her face, it was a happiness I'd never once seen directed at me. I gave a bitter smile, liked the post, then deleted her number and blocked her on WeChat. After that, I posted my own message, prone to mood swings, overly sensitive, and addicted to mind games. If you've got psychological issues, go seek help. That night, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications from Lily. Chapter 1. Right after I blocked Lily, the comment section went wild once more. One person wrote, "Hold on, did I really see that? The male lead actually blocked the female lead. Shouldn't he be on his knees begging her not to leave? Poor girl. She's probably waiting by her phone, desperate for his message, and he just cut her off cold." Another chimed in, "The guy's being a bit extreme. She was just testing him a little, and he blocked her and even took a dig at her in his post." And someone else added, "Just you wait. Once he sees her getting all lovey-dovey with the other guy, he'll come crawling back." I had no clue how these comments were showing up, but it wasn't hard to figure out. They were clearly talking about me and Lily. But seriously, are these people for real? She's the one who went public with another guy, betraying me, and somehow I'm the bad guy who's supposed to beg for forgiveness? Sure, I used to like Lily, but my sincerity wasn't something she had the right to toy with. Just a few days ago, I was still eagerly trying to figure out her likes and dislikes, hoping to find the perfect birthday gift for her. Looking at our chat history, it was nothing but a sea of green bubbles on my messages with barely any replies from her. I kept making excuses for her, thinking she was just busy and hadn't seen them. But in hindsight, it's laughable. Maybe she never took me seriously in the first place. My friends always said I was a hopeless romantic with principles. When I fall for someone, I give it my all, but once I'm done, I cut ties clean and don't look back. By now, several friends had sent me screenshots of Lily's Instagram post, asking what had happened. Some wanted to know what my own post meant, clearly fishing for gossip. I ignored them all. I'd posted that on a whim, but now I had no intention of deleting it. Whatever Lily thought after seeing it, I couldn't care less. If she was offended, she could call the police for all I cared. I turned off my phone and buried myself in memorizing IELTS vocabulary. I'm not one to hesitate. Too much overthinking only leads to stress-related problems. But expanding my vocabulary, that could actually open up more career opportunities in the future. Chapter 2. When I finally left the library, it was already pitch dark outside. I turned my phone back on, and dozens of missed calls from Lily popped up immediately. This was the first time in 2 years that she'd ever called me on her own initiative. Just as I was about to check the calls, her number flashed on the screen again. I accidentally answered. A cold, composed voice came from the other end. She asked, "You blocked me on WeChat?" I replied calmly, "Yeah, you were getting on my nerves, so I got rid of you." There was a moment of silence. Then she asked, her voice rising slightly, "What's wrong? Are you angry?" I let out a dry laugh. "How could I be? If you found happiness, I'm genuinely happy for you. I wish you two all the best." As soon as the words left my mouth, I heard something break on her end. Lily's voice turned ice cold. She snapped, "Ethan, do you even know what you're saying?" I said firmly, "I do, Lily. Let's just stop contacting each other." I enunciated each word clearly, my tone steady and resolute. Lily was silent for a long time. Finally, she spoke, her tone unreadable. "Ethan, you're just like all the rest." Then she hung up. But the comment section erupted again. One person said, "What's going on? Weren't they supposed to start their happy relationship after this? Why are they breaking up instead? The male lead is being so petty." The female lead loves him so much. Can't he just give in a little? Another agreed, exactly. If I had such a delicate, sensitive beauty like her, I'd love her no matter how difficult she could be. But someone else disagreed. Am I the only one who thinks the female lead took it too far? Trust is the foundation of a relationship, and testing him like this is unacceptable. Then came a counter. Argument, you don't understand. She's like this because her parents divorced when she was young. The male lead should have been more understanding and supportive. As I walked back to the dorm, the ache in my chest wouldn't go away. After all, when you truly love someone, it's bound to hurt when things fall apart. And what those comments said about Lily's parents, that I'd actually heard about it from her brother a year ago. That was why I'd put up with so much from her for so long. But the truth is, you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Instead of pulling them out of the darkness, you'll just end up getting dragged down with them. As for what those comments said about Lily loving me, I'd never felt it, not even once. If she'd loved me, she wouldn't have ignored almost all my messages for 2 years. She wouldn't have stood me up time and time again, making me wait outside the cinema in the snow for hours. She wouldn't have stayed silent when our classmates made fun of me, calling me a loser for chasing after her. All I remember is her constant indifference. Real goodbyes don't happen overnight. They come after all the hope has been slowly drained away. Maybe if I'd made up with her this time, we could have worked things out, but once suspicion sets in, there's no going back to how things were. I don't want to spend the rest of my life constantly having to prove myself. Chapter 3. The next day, I went to a general lecture. There was Max, the wealthy guy, surrounded by a group of classmates, all buttering him up. He was the same Max that Lily had introduced as her boyfriend on Instagram. So, of course, he was the center of attention. Everyone started bombarding him with questions about him and Lily. As soon as I walked into the classroom, the cheerful chatter died down. All eyes turned to me. Some looks were mocking, some were pitying. I acted like I didn't notice. After I sat down, I heard someone snicker behind me. Someone sneered. I thought that loser would have had a meltdown last night and wouldn't show up today. I didn't expect him to be so shameless. I turned around and said, "That's funny. What makes you think I'd fall apart? Don't tell me you're the one who has a crush on Lily and cried yourself to sleep last night?" He froze, then nervously glanced at Max and stammered, "Don't spout nonsense. You think everyone's as shameless as you?" I laughed. At least I'm not a coward. When I like someone, I'm not afraid to show it. You, on the other hand, can't even admit your feelings. You. He was so flustered he couldn't get a proper sentence out, just pointed at me angrily. Max frowned. "That's enough, everyone. Cut it out." He gave the guy a disdainful look, then walked over to my desk. He smiled and said, "Ethan, I don't care what happened between you and Lily in the past, but she's my girlfriend now. I hope you'll back off and leave her alone. We clear?" Max sounded so self-righteous, and it immediately set off a wave of whispers among the classmates. Someone said, "Back off? Is he saying this guy's been harassing Lily even though she has a boyfriend? That's seriously messed up." Another added, "Who knows? He used to chase after another popular girl on campus like a madman. It wouldn't be surprising if he's the obsessive type. Guys like that really need to be taught a lesson." The whispers around me got louder. I looked up at Max and said, "I haven't gone near Lily since you two got together." Max nodded quickly. "Good. That's what I like to hear. As long as you keep it that way, I'll let bygones be bygones. But if you don't..." The comments started popping up again. "Max is such a jerk. Why doesn't the male lead just punch him?" Compared to this side character, the male lead seems like the more decent one. At least he's honest about everything. Chapter 4. Max's words seemed like an attempt to give me the benefit of the doubt, but he was a single sentence away from directly accusing me of trying to steal his girlfriend. Just a short while ago, some classmates still showed a hint of sympathy toward me, but now their eyes were filled with nothing but disdain. I knew that no matter what I said, it wouldn't change their minds. For a moment, I even considered fully embracing the role of the villain and punching Max right in the face. Just then, I heard footsteps at the door. Lily walked in. I'd almost forgotten that we'd signed up for this general course together when I was still eager to share classes with her. She looked exhausted, her reddened eyes locked onto me. I met her gaze. I'd expected that at least she would step forward and set the record straight. But Lily remained silent. The comment section erupted once again. "Look at that. The fated couple is so sweet. Just seeing them look at each other makes my teeth ache from all the sweetness. Male lead, go apologize to her. Say those 3 little words. and I'm sure she'll dump the side character and announce to the world that she's yours. I'm really starting to dislike the male lead. She stayed up all night and is a mess right now. Can't he just be the bigger person and apologize first? Wait, what? This comment section is insane. She betrayed him, and now you guys want him to be the one to make amends? Is this some kind of anti-male drama masquerading as female empowerment? In the end, I kept my mouth shut. I lowered my eyes and quietly started packing up my things. As Lily walked past my desk, she let out a soft scoff and then sat down right next to Max. That single action seemed to confirm everything Max had said. Max shot me a triumphant glance, then casually slung his arm around Lily's shoulders, and she didn't push him away. Just like that, the rumor that I was harassing someone else's girlfriend spread like wildfire across the campus and even made its way onto the school forum. As I walked through the hallways, I could feel the occasional pointed looks and hushed whispers. When it came to major class group projects, no one wanted to work with me. Still, I stayed focused on my tasks. If no one was willing to be my partner, I'd simply do the project alone. After all, group projects often ended up being solo efforts in the end. Chapter 5. Over the weekend, I went home for dinner. My parents brought up the idea of expanding their business overseas. They'd mentioned it before, even suggesting that they wanted me to study abroad. But back then, I declined because of Lily. Now, considering the situation at school, even though I could pretend not to care, no one would choose to be the target of public humiliation if they had a choice. So I told my parents, I'm ready to study abroad. As soon as they heard my answer, they were over the moon. After all, they were on the verge of venturing into the overseas market. If things went well, they might even settle abroad permanently. Naturally, they didn't want to be separated from their son. But when they mentioned the departure date, my hand holding the chopsticks froze. It was Lily's birthday. My parents noticed my reaction and asked if we needed to change the date. I forced a smile and shook my head. No need. This date is perfect. Chapter 6. Back at school, I was on my way to submit my completed study abroad application to my advisor. Just as I stepped out of the dormitory, I ran into Lily. I'd been seeing her a lot lately since Max also lived in this building. The two of them were inseparable, going to classes together, having meals, and taking strolls. It was as if her cold and distant demeanor was reserved only for me. She lifted her lashes slightly and gave me a frosty look, as if expecting me to initiate a conversation like I used to. I ignored her and was about to walk away, but in the next instant, she grabbed the cuff of my sleeve. Her eyes landed on the word study abroad on my application form, and her voice trembled slightly. What's that in your hand? I frowned. Can't you read? Lily bit her lip. You're going abroad? I was in a hurry. My advisor would be leaving in 30 minutes. I grabbed her wrist, trying to free my sleeve from her grasp. But at that moment, Max emerged from the dormitory. Seeing me holding Lily's hand, he snapped. What the hell are you two doing? Lily paid him no attention. Her eyes remained fixed on me, and there were tears welling up in the corners of her eyes. She repeated, Are you really leaving for abroad? Max also noticed the application in my hand. He suddenly let out a mocking laugh. He said, Lily, don't fall for Michael's tricks. Lily released my sleeve and turned to Max, looking confused. Tricks? Chapter 7. Max nodded confidently. Yeah, our department only has one study abroad spot, and the advisor already gave it to the top ranking student. The form Ethan's holding? That's from last month. Upon hearing this, Lily released my sleeve completely, the tense look on her face finally relaxing. I glanced down at my sleeve, which was now misshapen from her tugging, and even the stitching on the cuff had come undone. Lily had always been like this. Whenever her emotions flared up, she'd lose all sense of reason and act without restraint. I locked eyes with her. She let out a cold snort and said, Ethan, is this the best you can do to get my attention? I was so tempted to just slap her and tell her to cut out this ridiculous act. If she hadn't stopped me, I'd be in the advisor's office by now. She continued, Or maybe you finally realized you can't get over me, and you're hoping I'll give you another chance. She said the last part softly, with a rare hint of tenderness in her voice. The comments section started buzzing. Male lead, your girl is giving you an opening. Take it. Lily's never been one to back down, and now she's practically handing you a way out. Don't be stupid. The poor girl has been thinking about the male lead non. Stop. She came here just to see him. If she doesn't swallow her pride, she'll regret it. I looked at the comments, then at Max's self. satisfied smirk. I suddenly burst out laughing and met Lily's gaze. Lily, do you really think I'll keep chasing after you and be your devoted admirer forever? Her expression froze. I turned away from both of them and walked off. The advisor would be leaving soon, and I had to hurry. Max wasn't wrong. Our department indeed only had one official study abroad slot, but mine didn't come through the department. Chapter 8. After submitting the application form to my advisor, I got back to focusing on my own studies. That evening, while I was working on a group project in the dorm, my phone suddenly pinged with several photos. They were from Max intimate pictures of him and Lily in a private booth at a club. That's when I realized I'd only blocked Lily and forgotten about him. In the photos, Lily's face was flushed, her eyes glazed over, and she was leaning happily against Max's chest. I only opened one photo before immediately blocking Max. But the comment section erupted once again. Ethan, don't fall for the side character's tricks. He sent those on purpose to mess with your head. Exactly. The girl was just upset about what you said this morning and went out drinking. She got taken advantage of because she was drunk. Max tried to kiss her, but she pushed him away. She's a good girl. She's even calling your name right now. Reading these comments, I couldn't help but scoff. Maybe my definition of a good girl was completely different from that of the comment section. In my eyes, no matter the circumstances, a good-hearted girl would never test a guy's love by going out drinking late at night with another guy who clearly had feelings for her. I suddenly realized that now that I'd stopped pining after her, Lily not only lost her goddess-like aura in my eyes, but also started showing flaws that I couldn't tolerate. It was as if she was slowly losing her charm in my memories. Chapter 9. In the following days, I still saw Lily and Max around campus frequently, but I treated them like strangers. Sometimes I heard Lily call my name from behind, but I always pretended not to hear. Classmates said their relationship wasn't as perfect as Max made it seem. There were times people saw Max calling out to Lily, but she'd just keep walking without even looking back. I had no interest in their relationship drama. I thought that as long as I stayed away, I could peacefully wait for the day I left for my studies abroad. But today, while I was organizing my notes in the library, someone suddenly placed a breakfast box in front of me. I looked up and met Lily's slightly embarrassed gaze. She turned her head away and said huffily, I accidentally bought too much. It'd be a waste not to eat it. So here, you have it. I looked at the 2 boiled eggs and a basket of soup dumplings. It was the same breakfast I used to bring her every day. There was a time when I truly hoped my efforts would be reciprocated, but now those hopes were long gone. I pushed the food back towards her. I've already eaten. Lily didn't reach for it. She frowned and snapped, how ungrateful. If you don't want it, just throw it away. Without hesitation, I picked up the food and tossed it straight into the trash can. Lily froze, her face turning cold. She gritted her teeth and said, Ethan, you've really got some nerve. From now on, no matter how much you beg, I'll never give you anything again. With that, she stormed off, revealing Max, who had been standing a short distance behind her. He glared at me and shouted, Ethan, I fucking warned you. Why are you still bothering my girlfriend? I looked around. We were in the library, and people were already getting annoyed by the commotion. I had no desire to get into a fight with him. I simply said, get your head examined. I thought he was going to hit me, but instead, he just growled, you won't get away with this, and then left. Finally, some peace and quiet. The comments section started up again. Max's look just now was kind of menacing. Is he planning something bad? In the original story, the male lead and female lead should have made up by now. This isn't how it's supposed to go. We have no idea what's going to happen next. If something bad does happen, it's the male lead's fault. He should have apologized earlier and avoided all this. Serves him right. I closed my eyes and rubbed my temples. Honestly, even I could tell that Max was up to no good. But even if I was worried, there wasn't much I could do. I'd just have to deal with whatever came my way. Chapter 10. The moment I stepped into the classroom and set my things down, I saw Lily pushing Max in a wheelchair. Max's leg was encased in a cast. Our classmates immediately swarmed around, their faces etched with concern as they bombarded him with questions about what had happened. With a bruised and swollen face, his voice raspy, Max began to recount how he'd been brutally attacked the previous night, his leg broken in the assault. He claimed he'd been locked in a bathroom and only narrowly escaped with his life. As everyone took in his battered state, anger rippled through the crowd. How could anyone do such a thing? Did you see who it was? This is outrageous. The police need to get involved and arrest this criminal, they exclaimed. But then, Max slowly turned his gaze toward me. The others followed suit, and a sense of foreboding washed over me. Sure enough, Lily stepped forward, her eyes filled with sorrow and disappointment as she looked at me. Ethan, I never thought you'd do something like this. How could you treat Max this way? She said. I took a deep breath, struggling to keep my voice steady. What makes you think I'm the one who did it? Do you have any evidence? I asked. She replied sharply. Max saw it with his own eyes. What more proof do you need? Lily stared at me, her expression a mix of frustration and betrayal, as if I'd shattered her trust. The rest of the classmates quickly joined in, rallying behind Max. Exactly. Max saw it. Do you really think he'd go to the extreme of breaking his own leg just to frame you? I always knew you were a sneaky one person sneered. Another chimed in. You must be jealous that Max is with Lily. You pretended not to care before, but now your true colors are showing. If you had any integrity, you'd compete fairly instead of resorting to underhanded tactics. A third added, this loser couldn't win Lily's heart in 2 years. And now that she has a boyfriend, he's still pestering her. If I were in his shoes, I'd be too ashamed to show my face. The vicious words swirled around me, and even the comments on the virtual feed were in an uproar. It's so obvious. The side character locked himself in the bathroom. He's lying because there's no surveillance there, and he's not even really hurt. What a fraud. Chapter 11. I stared coldly at Max and asked, You said I locked you in the restroom at 8 p.m. last night, correct? Max rubbed his temples, avoiding my gaze. Yes, he mumbled. Lily immediately stepped in front of him, as if shielding him from me. She looked at me angrily. Ethan, what's the point of these questions? The evidence is clear. There's no use denying it. I looked down at Lily, my expression calm and resolute. Then let's call the police and let them investigate. At the mention of the police, Max's face turned ashen. Lily hesitated for a moment before saying, You know calling the police won't end well for you. Max is being magnanimous. If you apologize and take care of him until his leg heals, that'll be the end of it. Hearing this, the classmates around us started praising Max for his generosity while criticizing me for not deserving such leniency. I scoffed. Why should I apologize for something I didn't do? I'm not waiting on Max hand and foot. The only thing I'll give him is a piece of my mind. Ethan, Lily snapped. You broke Max's leg and you're still acting arrogant? Don't push your luck. This is your last chance. More comments flooded in. Damn it. I want to scream and tell everyone the side character is faking it. His dad's a hospital department head, so he got a fake diagnosis. There's no way the male lead can prove otherwise. Another commenter raged. I can't stand this anymore. I want to give these classmates, the female lead, and the side character a piece of my mind. I smiled at Lily. Is that so? I understand. My words seemed to ease the tension, and everyone thought I was backing down. Max looked at me with a smug expression. I slowly walked toward him. When I was just a few steps away, I suddenly grabbed a nearby chair and swung it at him. Before anyone could react, Max leaped up and dodged the attack. Max shouted, Ethan, are you crazy? Lily gasped in shock. Max, your leg. Chapter 12. Yes, the very same person who claimed he wouldn't be able to walk for 2 months was now effortlessly evading my attack. I dropped the chair and clapped my hands. Here's a tip for next time. If you're going to fake an injury, go for a concussion. Leg injuries are too easy to expose. That is, if there even is a next time, I said mockingly. Max gritted his teeth, glaring at me with hatred. I turned to Lily. Do you have anything else to say? Lily looked at me in disbelief, but refused to back down. Even if Max's leg injury was fake, you're still responsible for locking him in the bathroom, she insisted. Just then, a gentle voice came from the doorway. Ethan didn't lock Max in the bathroom, said Professor Johnson from the Foreign Languages Department. He was at my house all night, studying for the IELTS exam. There's surveillance footage that can prove his whereabouts. As soon as the professor finished speaking, the room fell into a stunned silence. Max and Lily's faces drained of all color. Chapter 13. I wasted no time in calling the police. Once they arrived, we were all summoned to the department head's office. After presenting the facts, the officer informed me that since their slander hadn't caused significant harm, the maximum penalty would be a 5-day detention and a fine of up to 500 yuan. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of disappointment. The department head, eager to avoid further scandal, tried to persuade me. If you don't press charges, you can have your say. After all, Lily isn't even from our department, and she's set to represent the school in an international competition soon. It's crucial for the school's reputation. Raising an eyebrow, I walked straight up to Max and Lily. Smack, 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 smack. I landed 2 hard slaps on each of them, putting all my strength into it. By the last slap, my hand was numb. The corner of Max's mouth started bleeding, and he tried to retaliate, but the department head and several teachers held him back. Lily didn't flinch. Instead, she looked at me with a pitiful, wide-eyed expression that made my stomach turn. I turned to the officer. I've cooled down. I won't pursue the defamation charges, but they must write a handwritten apology and read it over the school broadcast. The department head readily agreed. The police officer stared at me in disbelief, as if he couldn't believe I'd actually struck them in front of him. Pointing at Max, I added, but you need to thoroughly investigate that fake medical record. This is a serious matter of abuse of power at the hospital. The officer nodded gravely. Rest assured, we'll handle this with the utmost seriousness. Max's face turned deathly pale, and his legs gave way, causing him to collapse to the ground. No, I didn't fake the medical record. The hospital had nothing to do with it, he wailed. But the police ignored his cries and led him away in handcuffs. The comment section erupted with excitement. This is so satisfying. Finally, a male lead who takes action instead of just talking. Love it. Just thinking about how the side character's dad might lose his job makes me so happy. I feel like doing a victory dance. Chapter 14. As I left the department head's office, Lily seemed to want to say something, but I brushed past her and left with Professor Johnson. The professor was a close friend of my father's and had come to return a workbook I'd left at his place. In the days that followed, I rarely saw Lily, but I constantly felt like I was being watched. Every time I turned around, there was no one there. Then, the day before I was set to leave the country, as I was rushing home to pack, a figure blocked my path at a corner. It was Lily. She turned her face away, avoiding my gaze, and said awkwardly, "I broke up with Max." I was taken aback. Why should I care? I shot her a cold look and tried to move past, but she stepped in front of me again. Looking up at me with a soft expression, she said, "Tomorrow is my birthday. Will you come?" That's when I remembered my departure date coincided with her birthday. Not wanting to get involved with her again, I shrugged. Maybe. Her eyes lit up. Then come early. I have a surprise for you. And I'll wear that white dress you gave me, she added, her ears turning red. If this had been before, I might have teased her, but now I was in a rush. I still had a lot to do. If I didn't hurry, I'd be up all night packing. Besides, I wasn't sure when I'd be back again. Chapter 15. In the departure lounge of the airport, Lily had called me 10 times in quick succession. My mother glanced at my constantly vibrating phone and couldn't help but ask, "Are you sure you don't want to answer? Maybe it's something important." I simply smiled, shook my head, declined the call, powered off my phone, and slipped it into the pocket of my coat. The boarding announcement echoed through the speakers. My parents and I made our way towards the gate together. I felt no trace of sadness or reluctance. Instead, a surge of excitement and determination coursed through me. I'd always been clear about what I wanted in life. The first thing I did after disembarking from the plane was swap out my SIM card. From the comments on the virtual feed, I later learned that Lily had actually intended to fulfill our unspoken agreement and accept me as her boyfriend that very day. According to what was said, she wore the white dress I'd given her and even invited many of our classmates and teachers. But when she discovered that I was leaving the country on that day, she staggered back in disbelief, clutching the table for support. All those 10 odd calls had come from her in that moment of desperation. When she realized my phone was off and she couldn't reach me, she finally broke down. She ran out into the rain, desperately trying to make it to the airport to beg me not to go. But not a single taxi would stop for her. Our classmates and teachers tried to tell her that by then, I was already on the plane. In the end, Lily could only weep bitterly in the downpour. After that, I stopped paying attention to any news about her. Life abroad was incredibly fulfilling. Since I was majoring in finance, besides the heavy workload of my courses, I also interned at my parents' company during every break. As their only son, they poured all their efforts into me. Even before I fully grasped the ins and outs of the business, they started allowing me to manage projects independently. As they put it, they weren't worried about losing money. They were only concerned that I wouldn't gain enough experience. Fortunately, I didn't let them down. Through a combination of theoretical study and practical experience, I gradually earned the respect of the shareholders. 5 years later, I returned to China with my company's team. At an expo, I decided to invest in a fashion project that Lily had participated in designing. Chapter 16. From the moment we met, Lily couldn't take her eyes off me, as if I'd vanished the instant she looked away. Her eyes were red, rimmed, and her hand trembled as she reached out to shake mine. I smiled casually and said, "Here's to a successful partnership." The exhibition was still in full swing. Just as I stepped out of the restroom, someone suddenly flung themselves into my arms. Lily buried her face in my chest, her voice thick with emotion and grievance. "I've missed you so much," she sobbed. I pushed her away, sending her sprawling to the floor, and frowned in annoyance. "Have you lost your mind?" Lily stared at me in shock. You pushed me?" she stammered. I sneered. "Damn right I did. What did you expect? Did you think I needed a reason or the right moment?" "Lily, you can't seriously believe I still have feelings for you, can you?" Maybe my coldness shattered her illusions. She bit her lip, looking at me with a mix of disbelief and stubbornness. "If you don't like me," she asked, "then why did you invest in my project?" "Business," I replied, looking at her with disdain. After all these years, I couldn't believe she was still so caught up in romantic notions. Throughout the expo, her project was clearly the most lucrative. Even though I didn't want to have any personal dealings with her, I wasn't responsible for the project's day. 2. Day coordination. As long as I didn't seek her out, I could avoid seeing her. More importantly, who would turn down a profitable investment? Just as I was about to leave, Lily blocked my path again. "Ethan, I know I was wrong. What happened back then, Max and I were just putting on an act. He promised me that if you begged me, he'd step aside. I had no idea about the photos he sent you, and he tricked me during that incident in the office." I looked at her and let out a scornful laugh. "So, was it also his idea to make you stay silent when I was being accused of harassing you?" Lily froze, speechless. Then she took a step forward and said, "I just wanted you to admit you were wrong back then." I raised my hand to keep her at a distance and stepped back. "Lily, you let Max into our lives. You made me the laughingstock of the school. You were the one who didn't trust me. You gave Max the opportunity to manipulate you, and now you're trying to shift the blame onto him. Don't you think you're being both ridiculous and pitiful?" Lily instinctively shook her head, but remained silent. I didn't want to waste any more time with her and turned to leave. She chased after me, and it was only when the hotel security guards intervened that they managed to pull her away. Chapter 17. With a deafening crash, a red Ferrari slammed into Lily's white Porsche. A woman emerged from the Ferrari. Her long hair billowing in the night breeze, she removed her sunglasses, revealing delicate features and piercing eyes. She let out a light laugh and said, "Oops, sorry, Miss Liu. My bad. I'll have my brother get you a new car tomorrow." Despite the apologetic words, there was not a hint of remorse on her face. Lily glared at her furiously. My old friend, the moderator of the forum, heard the commotion and rushed outside. Seeing Anna and Lily facing off, he leaned over to me and whispered, "The heiress of the Su family? Is she your new girlfriend?" I smiled, shook my head, and shrugged. "I'm still thinking about it." My friend couldn't help but give me an impressed thumbs up. "Dude, you're killing it." Chapter 18. The next day, all the major news outlets were filled with photos of Lily and Anna's confrontation at the hotel entrance. When a friend sent me the link, I couldn't help but chuckle. The headlines were all variations of the same story. Two women vying for the chance to become Mrs. Wong, engaging in a heated argument at the hotel over a few words. In the comment sections, netizens were all excited about watching the showdown between two beautiful women. Many others commented on how wealthy and powerful I was, no wonder so. Called goddesses were falling over themselves for me. Back in school, whenever people talked about Lily and me, I was always seen as the obsessive stalker. But now, with two women involved, the narrative had completely changed. The comments painted it as a battle of jealousy, with each woman trying to win my favor and climb the social ladder. So this was what it felt like to have influence. The author wasn't exaggerating. In the following days, both Lily and Anna tried to reach out to me. I had no interest in either of them and always pretended not to notice their messages. Of course, I was a bit more polite to Anna compared to Lily. One evening, I worked late at the company and left the office much later than usual. As I entered the parking lot, I saw a group of thugs surrounding a woman. They leered at her and laughed. "Hey, sweetie, all alone? How about some company tonight?" The woman slowly backed away, shouting, "Stay back. I'll call the police if you come any closer." But the thugs ignored her warning, laughing even louder as they closed in. Without hesitation, I dashed forward and positioned myself between her and the thugs. Only then did I realize it was Lily. I had no idea why she was there so late, but I didn't have time to think about it. I kicked one of the thugs to the ground and landed a punch on another who charged at me. Grabbing Lily's arm, I pulled her along as we tried to run. But the thugs caught up quickly. One of them roared angrily, "Damn it. No one said this guy would be such a pain. You dare hurt my buddy? You're dead meat." As he spoke, one of them suddenly pulled out a short knife and lunged at me. In the nick of time, Lily stepped in front of me. Chapter 19. When Lily regained consciousness in the hospital, the clock had already struck past midnight. The goons who'd caused the trouble had been subdued by the bodyguards and were now in police custody. I sat by Lily's bedside, my expression unreadable as I stared at her. Lily mustered a faint smile. "Ethan, don't worry. I'm fine," she said weakly. I cut straight to the chase. "You hired those thugs, didn't you?" My question hit her like a punch, and her face froze. Eventually, she seemed to abandon all pretense, slumping back with a defeated sigh. "How did you figure it out?" she murmured. "Anna told me," I replied. "She overheard your little scheme outside the private room." At the mention of Anna, Lily panicked. "I never thought things would go this wrong," she blurted out. "I just wanted to see if you still cared. I needed to know if your coldness was just an act. I had no idea they'd back out halfway or that they were armed." "Ethan, you have to believe me." She reached out to grasp my hand, but I shrugged her off. "Do you really think excuses will change anything now?" I asked sharply. Lily fell silent. Meeting my disgusted gaze, she suddenly buried her face in her hands and broke down into sobs. "I just don't understand," she wailed. "You chased after me for so long. Why give up at the last minute? I can't accept it." Looking at her tears, I spoke firmly. "Because I value myself more than I ever valued you. What you want is someone to coddle you, to revolve around you like a lackey. But I'm not that person. We only get one life, and I'm not here to be your emotional punching bag." Lily shook her head desperately. "No, it's not like that. I'm like this because of my childhood. That's why I'm so messed up and sensitive." I cut her off before she could continue. "I don't care about your past traumas. I didn't cause them, and I'm not obligated to fix you. I've done nothing to hurt you, so don't dump your problems on me." This time, Lily was left speechless. I stood up to leave, but she grabbed my hand. "Ethan, if I promise to change for you, will you give me another chance?" she pleaded. I shook my head and pulled away. No one should have to change for someone else. We're only responsible for ourselves. As for the rest, you can explain it to the police. With that, I turned my back on her, leaving behind the sound of her heartbroken sobs. Chapter 20. As I stepped out of the hospital, I saw Anna waiting by my car. She waved at me, leaning casually against the vehicle. "I saved your skin this time," she said, tilting her head playfully. "How are you going to repay me?" I quickly typed a message on my phone and then looked up at her. "The land in the Southern District, that it's yours. Consider it a gift from the Sioux family." Anna pouted. "That's it. That's your big thank you?" she huffed. "Then what do you want?" I retorted. She scoffed. "Obviously, I want to see some real effort. I don't need much, just a little sincerity." I laughed dryly. That's the exact line I can't stand. Sincerity can mean anything. Giving nothing could be considered sincere, and giving too much is still never enough. It's a never-ending demand. I continued, "Drop the act. The Southern District land is a fair deal. Mr. Sioux has had his eye on that property for years." Anna bit her lip, looking at me intently for a moment before turning away without another word. For the first time in ages, the live comment feed lit up again. Damn, the male lead is a total badass. Finally, he sees the female lead for what she is. Thank goodness he dodged that bullet. I'm actually kind of into the second female lead. But since Ethan's going solo, we've got to support him. Check it out. The author changed the novel's genre from romance to power fantasy. Lesson learned. Take control of your life. Don't be anyone's doormat. Gradually, the comments faded away. In the distance, the sun began to rise. I climbed into my Lamborghini and revved the engine. With the wheel in my hands, I knew that from now on, my future was mine to drive.